Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Journeyman Podcast. I'm your host, and in this deep dive, episode 47, we're going deep into a story that's fascinating, disturbing, kind of both at the same time. So if you like figuring out the why behind people's actions, hit that like and subscribe button. This one's a wild ride.
Buckle up.
Yeah, for real. Okay, today we're unpacking the online journey of Connor Murphy.
Connor Murphy.
Yeah, a fitness influencer.
Yeah.
But his path took some really unexpected turns.
Yeah.
Our main source is this YouTube video essay. It's really well made by Turkey Tom. It's called The Schizo Fitness Prankster Who Tried Starting a Cult.
Catchy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll be using some extra notes and articles as well, just to get the full picture.
Yeah, paint the whole picture.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't worry, the link to Turkey Tom's video is down in the description.
Yeah.
If you want to check it out after the deep dive.
Definitely check it out.
Yeah, really. Go subscribe to his channel. His content is great, like top-notch stuff.
Yeah, he's a good creator.
Okay, so Connor's story. It starts out like a lot of fitness influencers.
Yeah.
Young guy looking for acceptance, and he kind of finds it by transforming his body.
Yeah.
But then things get a little strange.
They do.
We're talking shocking pranks, suggestive content, even claims of like spiritual enlightenment and leading a cult.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what drove this transformation? I mean, was it calculated? Was it a play for online fame? Or was it something like way darker? A genuine mental health crisis unfolding in front of millions of viewers.
In front of everybody.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're here to figure out.
Yeah, unpack that.
Okay, so let's get into it. What's interesting to me is, like, even in his early YouTube videos, Connor was open about the insecurities that kind of plagued him growing up, like throughout high school and even college.
Yeah.
He talked about being bullied and feeling like, a social outcast.
Yeah, he was pretty open about that kind of stuff.
Totally. And he started lifting weights at 13, trying to find a way to fit in, to gain acceptance. It's like he thought that if he changed his physical appearance, somehow all of his internal struggles would just magically fix themselves.
Yeah, a lot of people think that. It's a common misconception. A lot of people think external transformation, like, equals internal happiness. It doesn't always work that way. Connor's story is a pretty good example of that. He even said that, despite building this impressive physique by 17, he was still too shy to take his shirt off in public.
Wow. That's pretty telling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he turns to YouTube.
Right.
Initially, it was just workout tutorials, sharing his personal fitness journey.
Yeah.
Trying to inspire others who are maybe going through similar struggles.
Yeah. Classic kind of fitness influencer beginnings.
Exactly. But then around 2015, his content takes this sharp turn.
Oh, okay.
He starts doing these shirtless pranks, exposing himself in public for shock value. It was like this weird precursor to all those crazy prank videos that flooded YouTube a few years later. Like, he was kind of tapping into this emerging trend of combining like fitness aesthetics with shock value entertainment.
Right.
Like the Ziz era.
Yeah.
And it worked. Like, his videos start racking up millions of views.
Yeah.
He was juggling his YouTube fame with college, with bodybuilding competitions. He even qualified for the World Long Drive Championship in golf.
Really?
This guy was overachieving in like every area of his life. So why the shift to increasingly bizarre content? What happened?
Well, things get a little complicated around 2017 when he's called out by H3R3 Productions. It's a big YouTube channel known for its commentary on, other creators.
Wow.
And it's not always, positive commentary.
It could be pretty brutal.
Yeah. But Connor took a different approach. Most YouTubers who get targeted by H3R3, they get defensive or they lawyer up.
Yeah, they freak out.
He didn't do that. He made a video asking random women on the street if they would smash or pass on various YouTubers.
Including Ethan Klein from H3R3.
Yeah. It was pretty clever. He deflected the criticism and actually turned it into more views.
Oh, so he knew how to play the game.
Yeah.
Like, he understood YouTube, understood how to generate buzz and, stay relevant. It's almost like he was self-aware about the absurdity of it all.
He kind of knew what he was doing.
Totally. But during this time, this alleged high school acquaintance of his posted on Reddit describing Connor as socially awkward.
Yeah.
And possibly on the autism spectrum.
Oh, interesting.
Which suggests to me that those deep-seated insecurities we were talking about before, they never really went away,
right,
despite his outward success.
Right.
So maybe that's the key here. this constant need for validation and attention fueling his increasingly provocative behavior.
It's possible.
Yeah. And that's when we see his content take an even more like noticeable turn. You know, his initial wave of popularity kind of starts to fade.
Yeah.
And he begins using clickbaity titles. He starts collaborating with prank channels that are, you know, known for their suggestive content.
Okay.
And he's just generally leaning into a more sexualized style.
So it's like he's trying to hold on to his audience.
Desperately.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if it meant pushing the boundaries of what's, you know, considered acceptable. And then right in the middle of all the pandemic chaos of 2020, he drops this bizarre goodbye video.
I remember that.
It's like a turning point.
Yeah.
He claims to have gone literally mentally insane. He blames his parents for his unhappiness, and then he throws this curveball by saying it's all just acting.
Whoa. Okay, so which one is it?
Right. Like, what's real?
Yeah.
Is he having a genuine breakdown, or is it all a performance? Is he trying to shock and manipulate his viewers?
A lot of people were debating that.
Oh, yeah.
Some people thought it was a cry for help. Other people thought he was just trying to get attention.
Yeah, get more views.
Yeah, exactly.
So what happens next? Does he just, like, disappear from the internet?
He does. For a while, there are all these rumors going around saying he's missing.
Oh, wow.
And then he turns up in a psychiatric facility.
So it wasn't an act?
Apparently not.
Yeah.
His admission papers were pretty revealing. They describe him as having, you know, grandiose and delusional thoughts.
Oh, wow.
Including believing that he's God.
No.
He even thought about, you know, ending his life to prove it.
That's intense.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't just about internet fame anymore.
Right.
This was a serious mental health crisis.
Yeah.
And this is where the psychedelics come in.
Ayahuasca.
It's wild how even after, you know, being hospitalized, being diagnosed with either drug-induced psychosis or bipolar disorder, Connor kept framing his experiences as some kind of spiritual awakening. Like he was doubling down on the whole enlightenment thing, claiming to be, you know, free from the illusion of death.
Okay, so instead of viewing this breakdown as a sign of mental illness, he saw it as like a stepping stone to higher consciousness.
Yeah. And a lot of people who, you know, use psychedelics, particularly ayahuasca, they have the similar perspective.
Right. And during this time, his content was like all about mewing, fasting, spirituality.
Oh.
You know, he even tried a 40-day fast, live streamed it, of course, for his followers, claiming to be, you know, embodying Jesus Christ.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It seems like he was building a new following, you know, based on these beliefs. But just when you think, you know, he's found this new path, things take another unexpected turn. He starts putting like increasingly strange and honestly disturbing content into his videos.
This is where we get into the tantric pasada yoga.
Okay.
Basically, he would film himself doing, you know, these very suggestive yoga poses with random people on the street. And then eventually with adult film actresses, he even opened an OnlyFans account, started, you know, promoting it heavily.
So from inspirational fitness to provocative yoga to an OnlyFans, that's quite a progression. Like, does this seem like it was all calculated, or was his mental state, you know, like actually deteriorating?
It's hard to say, but it gets even more difficult to answer. Like, his behavior just keeps escalating. He claims to have a doctor of spirituality degree.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and then he announces he's going to start swallowing another man's semen for health benefits.
Whoa. Okay, so where's he getting this from?
I don't know. He cited some ancient caveman practice or something like that. He even made a song about drinking his own urine, attributed it to some spiritual benefit that this Gnostic sect practiced.
Okay, now we're getting into some really bizarre territory. Like, at this point, it's so hard to tell what's genuine mental instability and what's, you know, him intentionally trying to shock and provoke. Is he like, you know, pushing these boundaries as some kind of performance artist, or is this, you know, a sign of a deeper mental health crisis?
It's the question that just, it keeps popping up. And then he decides to start playing this cult leader persona, claiming to lead this group of, you know, mostly Asian computer hackers.
Right.
And he even announced that he was, you know, going to sell himself as a slave.
It's all so unsettling. It makes you wonder if he was intentionally like playing up the absurdity for attention, or if he had genuinely lost touch with reality.
Yeah.
And around this time, his videos, they become like increasingly incoherent, often unlisted or taken down.
Yeah.
filled with all this nonsensical rambling and weird behavior.
Yeah.
He even adopted this black person persona at one point. Started speaking with a New Orleans accent.
Yeah.
It's like for no reason. It's just all over the place, and it's like he was just spiraling further and further away from any sense of normalcy. And then there's the incident with the latex doll, which is it's disturbing on so many levels.
It's one of many incidents that it really raises questions about his mental state and his understanding of appropriate boundaries.
Right, right. It's hard to tell what's genuine and what's deliberate.
Exactly.
So what happens next in this already really strange and unsettling saga?
Well, in late 2022, Connor announces he's moving to Thailand
Thailand.
to live with another fitness YouTuber, Tony Huge.
Tony Huge. Wasn't he involved in some controversy surrounding the death of his roommate Leo and longevity?
Yes, Leo. He passed away under mysterious circumstances just before Connor moved in.
Oh, wow.
The initial cause of death was listed as murder, and there were these inconsistencies in Tony's story about what happened.
So Connor moves into this house where a potentially very suspicious death has just occurred. It doesn't seem like the most stable environment for someone who's struggling with mental health issues.
Yeah, and it gets even more unsettling.
Wow, okay.
After moving in, Connor starts creating content, mocking Leo and even reaffecting his death in a very explicit video.
That's just wow. It's hard to even comprehend that level of insensitivity.
Yeah.
Especially given the circumstances.
Yeah. And unfortunately, they just continue to escalate. Connor keeps making, NSFW content. He openly admits to using steroids again and starts making what some have called right-wing bait content. It seems like he was mocking conservative YouTubers. It's like he's trying to provoke as many people as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pattern we've seen. Pushing boundaries, seeking attention, even if it's, negative attention.
Right. And then in May 2024, he's arrested in Thailand for assaulting his girlfriend with a golf club. Reports described this very chaotic scene. Connor was screaming, incoherently, trashing the house, and he ended up assaulting his girlfriend, causing injury and property damage.
It's dark.
Oh.
And it raises even more questions about his mental state.
Mm-hmm.
Did he face any serious consequences for this?
Well, Tony Huge, he claimed that the whole incident was staged for content.
Oh, okay.
Which, considering, Connor's history of blurring those lines, between reality and performance, it's not entirely unbelievable.
Right, but the police were involved, right? They wouldn't just be part of some elaborate prank.
You would think not, but the details they're still unclear. What we do know is that Connor, he didn't face any significant jail time, but his online presence has been way more sporadic since the arrest.
Okay, so where is he now? What's he up to?
He's still in Thailand, occasionally posts, YouTube shorts.
Okay.
And he's been promoting this fitness philosophy he calls the Natty Plus protocol.
Natty Plus. What is that all about?
It seems to be his way of promoting a middle ground between natural bodybuilding and steroid use.
Okay.
He argues that even, common supplements like creatine are technically unnatural. So the whole distinction between, natural and enhanced is pointless.
It sounds like a way to kind of justify his own steroid use without explicitly admitting to it.
Could be. It's hard to say for sure, but it is clear that Connor's story, it's far from over. He's still struggling with his past, with his identity and his place in the online world. And as we've seen, that line between, performance and reality it's just become so blurred.
It's a story that's both captivating and really disturbing, and it leaves us with more questions than answers. So we've walked through this crazy timeline of Connor's rise and fall, his provocations, his mental health struggles. But what does it all mean? What can we learn from this story that goes beyond the shock value?
That's the big question. I think one thing Connor's journey really highlights is this intense pressure online to constantly create more extreme content, more attention-grabbing stuff.
Especially in the fitness world, right?
Yeah.
It feels like everybody's, they're trying to outdo each other with bigger muscles, crazier stunts, more revealing videos.
Yeah, totally. And for someone like Connor, who, very clearly craves validation and attention, it's easy to see how he got, swept up in all that. Remember, His early success came from pushing those boundaries, the shirtless pranks, the suggestive content. But as the online landscape got more and more competitive, those boundaries, they just kept shifting, demanding more outrageousness.
Yeah, it's like a race to the bottom where the line between entertainment and exploitation, it gets blurrier and blurrier.
Yeah, and that's where the conversation about mental health is so important. Was Connor like consciously manipulating his audience for views and clicks, or was he, genuinely losing touch with reality?
It's tough to say, I mean, especially when you bring in the influence of the psychedelics.
Yeah.
The ayahuasca, like we know those experiences, they really impacted him, but to what extent?
Right. Ayahuasca is known for inducing these really intense spiritual experiences, and some people, some users, they report lasting changes in their perception of reality.
Hmm.
So in Connor's case, did those experiences, did they like trigger some kind of latent mental health condition, or did they just amplify, pre-existing issues?
Hmm. It really highlights the complexity of the mind
Hmm.
and the potential risks that are associated with psychedelic use. Totally. His story it brings up all these questions about consciousness, about spirituality, and the impact of these powerful substances on the brain. It also it makes you think about the role of the internet in all of this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Social media, it's become this echo chamber where these extreme views and behaviors, they're often rewarded. They're rewarded with attention and validation. It's like this breeding ground for narcissism, where people can so easily get caught up in a cycle of self-promotion and validation seeking.
And you can see that in Connor's story, the delusions of grandeur, the belief that he was God or the second coming of Jesus, the constant need for attention, for control. These are all like textbook signs of narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah, and the internet with its constant feedback loop of, likes and comments and shares, it likely played a huge role in feeding that narcissism.
Yeah, it's a perfect storm. Insecurity, the pull of online fame, the potential pitfalls of psychedelic use, all of these things converging to create this really tragic figure. And it's not just a tragedy for Connor, like it affects everyone around him, his family, his friends, the women he's been with.
Yeah, it's a really good example of how our actions, especially online, they have real world consequences.
Absolutely. So where do we go from here? What can we learn from Connor's story?
I think it starts with having these open and honest conversations about mental health, especially when it comes to online culture. We need to be aware of the potential dangers of social media, the pressure that it creates, and the ways that it can distort our perceptions
Yeah.
of ourselves and of other people.
And maybe we need to be more critical of the content that we consume and the influencers that we follow. Like
Yeah.
ask ourselves, are we supporting someone's genuine self-expression, or are we just feeding into a cycle of attention seeking and exploitation?
Those are good questions to ask. At the end of the day, Connor's story, it's a cautionary tale, but it's also this reminder of the human capacity for both great potential and really profound struggle.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listeners, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the very perplexing world of Connor Murphy. It's a story that's both captivating and unsettling, and it definitely leaves us with more questions than answers. What are your thoughts? Did anything surprise you? What are your own interpretations of his motivations, his actions? Let us know down in the comments. And here's a final thought to ponder. Given his struggles with identity and authenticity, is Connor Murphy ultimately a perpetrator,
Yeah.
a victim, or some complex combination of both? If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the Journeyman Podcast for more deep dives. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those critical thinking gears turning.